Breaking news has just shaken the nation, and it's sending ripples of relief and hope across America. $2,000 stimulus checks have officially been approved for low-income seniors in all 50 states. For months, retirees struggling with rising grocery prices, soaring medical bills, and the never-ending burden of rent and utilities have been waiting for a lifeline, and now it's here. This isn't just another government promise. This is cash-in-hand support that could transform the lives of millions who have spent their golden years feeling the crushing weight of financial instability. Imagine being on a fixed Social Security income, counting every dollar for prescriptions, skipping meals to make sure the lights stay on, and then suddenly hearing the words, "Approved." The checks are coming. It's not just a headline, it's a lifeline, and it's making waves nationwide. The approval of these stimulus checks has been described by experts as historic, a move that marks one of the largest direct aid programs targeted specifically at older Americans in recent memory. Seniors have been some of the hardest hit by inflation, with food and healthcare costs climbing at double-digit rates in some areas. Analysts say that this $2,000 injection could mean the difference between despair and dignity. It's not just the money, it's the message. The government is finally acknowledging what many seniors have been screaming for years, that the retirement system isn't enough, and that millions of people who work their entire lives deserve real, tangible support. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about survival. But how did we get here? For months, political pressure has been building from advocacy groups, senior coalitions, and grassroots organizations who refuse to stay silent. They bombarded lawmakers with petitions, flooded phone lines, and filled town halls with heartbreaking stories of seniors choosing between insulin and dinner. The approval didn't happen overnight. It was fought for, tooth and nail, by voices that couldn't be ignored any longer. Insiders report that the final decision came after weeks of tense negotiations, and once the green light was given, the announcement was rushed out with an urgency rarely seen in government rollouts. Why? Because the need is that dire. Officials know seniors can't wait for relief 6 months from now. They need it now. Reactions have been explosive. Across social media, seniors and their families are expressing tears of joy, with posts going viral showing grandparents calling their children in disbelief. One tweet read, "Just told my mom she's getting $2,000. She cried. This will pay for her medication and groceries for months. Thank you." Another viral video captured a group of seniors at a community center erupting into applause as the news broke live on television. Economists are weighing in too, predicting that this influx of cash will not only help households directly, but also boost local economies as seniors spend the money on essential goods and services. Grocery stores, pharmacies, and small businesses in retirement-heavy communities are bracing for a surge of activity. In other words, this isn't just good for seniors, it's good for America's economy. Yet, even with the celebration, questions are already swirling. How quickly will the checks be distributed? Will every senior truly qualify, or will red tape slow things down? Officials have promised streamlined systems to prevent delays, but skeptics warn that bureaucratic hurdles could still rear their heads. The promise is clear. Every low-income senior in all 50 states will see the money, no exceptions. But as history has shown, government programs sometimes stumble in execution. Still, the tone right now is one of hope. For millions, this feels like long overdue justice, a recognition of the sacrifices made by those who built this country brick by brick, factory shift by factory shift, only to find themselves struggling in old age. And with the announcement spreading like wildfire, one thing is certain: America's seniors are finally being heard. The story doesn't end with the announcement. If anything, this is just the beginning of a national movement that could reshape how America treats its seniors. Part 2 of this unfolding saga dives into what happens next, because while the approval of $2,000 stimulus checks has ignited hope, it's also sparking fierce debate, bold predictions, and even whispers of future payouts. Lawmakers are already feeling the pressure to expand this one-time relief into something more permanent. Could this be the seed of a guaranteed income for retirees? Insiders say conversations are happening behind closed doors, and the outcome could be even more explosive than today's headline. For seniors who have been left behind by the system, the idea of regular stimulus checks isn't just a dream, it's a demand gaining traction with each passing hour. For many seniors, $2,000 is more than just a financial bump. It's a reset button. Imagine the medical debt that can finally be paid down, the overdue bills that can finally be cleared, and the long postponed trips to the doctor that can finally be made without fear of bankruptcy. Financial experts point out that when vulnerable populations get direct cash assistance, the impact isn't just temporary, it ripples through communities for months, sometimes years. Seniors who can cover essentials free up charities, food banks, and state aid programs, easing the burden on strained local systems. One economist even called it a double stimulus because it helps households immediately while stabilizing broader community safety nets. And with millions of seniors living in shared housing, nursing homes, or assisted living facilities, that relief spreads far beyond just the individual recipients. Families, caretakers, and entire neighborhoods stand to benefit. But here's where the controversy heats up. Some critics argue that this kind of sweeping relief is unsustainable. They claim it will add strain to the national debt, that it risks fueling inflation, and that it sets a precedent that could spiral into endless payouts. On talk shows and political panels, heated arguments are already underway. Supporters fire back with data showing seniors are not the cause of inflation, but the victims of it, and that stimulus checks are a moral obligation to those who kept the economy running for decades. The divide is stark, and it's only going to grow sharper as the checks start rolling out. One thing's clear: no one is neutral. Everyone has an opinion, and the nation is watching closely to see if this relief delivers the promised results. Meanwhile, seniors are preparing for their next steps. Nonprofits and advocacy groups are racing to educate retirees on how to claim their payments, avoid scams, and ensure the money goes exactly where it's needed. Social media is flooded with guides, YouTube tutorials, and viral posts promising to walk seniors through the process. The message is clear: don't miss this chance. But with every big program comes the dark side. Scammers are already setting traps, creating fake websites, and cold calling vulnerable seniors in an attempt to steal their windfall. Federal agencies have issued urgent warnings, urging seniors to only trust official government portals and never give out banking information to unsolicited callers. This tension between hope and danger adds a dramatic twist to the rollout, and it's one reason why the story is dominating headlines and talk radio nationwide. Looking ahead, the big question is whether this is the spark of a larger revolution in senior care. For years, experts have warned that America is headed toward a retirement crisis, with millions of seniors unable to afford even the basics. This $2,000 stimulus doesn't fix the system, but it could be the first real step toward a new framework. Some lawmakers are already drafting proposals for quarterly payments, expanded Medicare benefits, and even rent subsidies tied directly to Social Security recipients. What was unthinkable just a year ago is now being openly discussed on Capitol Hill. Seniors across the country are being urged to stay vocal, to keep the pressure on, and to remind politicians that their votes matter. With elections around the corner, the timing couldn't be more critical, and insiders believe seniors could become the most powerful voting bloc in America if this momentum continues. The bottom line is this: the $2,000 checks are real, they're approved, and they're on the way. But the true story is bigger than just a payout. It's about recognition, respect, and the possibility of systemic change. Seniors who have felt invisible are suddenly in the spotlight, their struggles acknowledged, their voices amplified. The coming weeks will reveal whether this relief fulfills its promise or stumbles under the weight of bureaucracy and political games. Either way, the narrative has shifted, and millions of Americans are watching with anticipation, fear, and hope. As one senior in Florida put it, her voice breaking on live TV, "For the first time in a long time, I feel like somebody remembered us." And with that, the movement for dignity, security, and justice for seniors in America takes its first powerful step into history.